This beat is way too long, man.
It's like sage. It's like sage. You gotta just burn it and just let it go for a while.
You know, this was like you get the sage from the hippie, just kind of like selling off the freeway and everything, just making everything smell like weed. And that's like, no, it's just sage.
That's probably meth, actually.
No, that's my hometown, dude. Like, seriously. Like, I'm from Santa Fe, man. Just these before hipsters, you know.
This is touchdowns and tangents, everybody. Sorry about being late, but I mean, I had a beef with Uber Eats that I had to solve first. If you're gonna say my food's gonna come in 30 minutes, don't try to like haggle me an hour later. Like, fam, the shit's ridiculous. Anyway, shout out to Good News Sports, Good News Radio, X Squad affiliates, full press coverage, all our affiliates. We love you. All the people who listen to us, like us, and put up with us. Thank you for that. And we have somebody back in the building after, a brief hiatus, had to handle some things, but, they're back. The resident transplant who's a fixture and representative of the great state of New Mexico, depending on what part they're from and what stupid thing they're doing in the news this week, and a proud Bears fan. But, we still love them anyway. What's up, Eric? How you been?
Oh, it's good to be back, man. It's nice to be out of the house. Thank you.
No problem.
But no, it's good to be back. It's good to be able to just get things organized and, maybe talk a little football and see what's going on in the world.
Did you think the Bears had a chance at Clowney?
No whatsoever. I mean, Clowney, no. He wants too much money for nothing, and we're giving that money to Khalil Mack. It's like, no, you want that money from that guy? No. I mean, Clowney is good, but I think he'd be. You would like him a lot more for $4 million less. Just saying.
Man, sorry, I just got a text from Pete. Losing is beating the dog shit out of Hawthorne High. It's bad. It's like 51-0. And that might not. It might be 70 at this point. Oof, man. Yikes.
Ouch. I've lost some big games in high school, but nothing like that. That'd be demoralizing.
I mean, I've lost by like 20-30, but it was like
against
Inglewood when we were playing. We were beating the shit out of 8 of their freshmen, and then the rest of their JV team that was going to play varsity the next night decided to hop in the game. And then, we're playing against sophomores and juniors, and we got clapped. We got clapped by a lot, and we weren't even mad. Like, it was like the 30 points that they scored, they should have scored. But they're like, they pulled that on you knowing they only had 8 freshmen, but then pulled the freshmen and just let a bunch of fucking sophomores and juniors pound on you. And most of you have never played football before in your life. So, we know we didn't. We lost that game, and the varsity team got killed my freshman year. Whew. It was bad. It was an ass whooping. Like, I think they beat them worse than. No, actually, when Lusinger played Lawndale my sophomore year, there was so much trash talk from the upperclassmen on my team, and they got prison fucked. It was bad. Just repeat it. Just blitzkrieg. Just violence. Just pure violence.
Pure violence.
I was like, that was one game I'm like, I'm glad I'm not good enough to play on varsity right now, because if I was in this game, I'd be getting my shit tossed up too, and that's just...
Did you play for the Gridiron Gang or what, man? I mean, what's...
You gotta remember, Lusinger wasn't always a laughing joke in the South Bay. Like, they were like tough some bitches back in the day. Like, their Hell Weeks were the stuff of legend.
Stuff of legend.
And, like, I'm talking about the Texas A&M documentary, like that shit. About, I think it was like the Gridiron Gang or something like that, or Junction Gang, whatever. But yeah, there's a whole documentary about Texas A&M football, like all the crazy shit they did in Hell Week. But Lusinger was just known for being bullies. And they're bullying Hawthorne High right now. And Hawthorne really hasn't recovered in like 20 years, if we're being honest. Hawthorne, they made the playoffs a couple years ago under Darwin Henderson. Then I think he quit. I think he stepped down. And it hasn't been the same. It's just bad. Lawndale's the only real representative, and thank God I went there. Because they're undefeated. And they outscored teams like 220-0.
How are these kids doing this year? Like how are they, like, are some of them really taking it serious, or some of them just playing to play ball? What are these kids thinking this year with, like, and some of the ones that may not be even playing that just maybe didn't want to?
I think with a lot of these kids, a lot of kids wanted to play and they wanted to play more games. They just wanted to be out there. And it's kind of messed up that, like, they got robbed of the last 2 years of their high school careers. Like, I know Lawndale, like, they're seniors now, were sophomores when they won a state championship. That was, like, the height of their careers. And they didn't even really get a chance to fight for their junior year. That was taken away. And now they have a senior year, they get 5 games. And some cats already had scholarships locked up, thankfully. But it's kind of a hard sample size, 5 games.
Yeah.
And some cats didn't even get that. Some high schools, the schools around them are playing football, but they're not. Some schools only had 17 people to suit up. You know, some schools just decided not to do it. So it's unfortunate. And it's definitely a deeper topic that we're going to dig into over these next couple months when they bring back fall. Because fall is going to be different. Because colleges are already having regular. They're prepping like it's a regular, like there's no COVID all across the board. All these colleges, the way they're doing things, is just a little bit more, testing in between. But it's like a different era. It's like this is going to be an era we're going to look back on a lot of lost talent. A lot of people fell through the cracks. Like, I think of when Jadaveon Clowney, to kind of go back to the NFL, when he was coming up through college and he was like, yeah, he's a receiver, he's a defensive end, stupid, insanely fast, strong, just destroyed people. His high school clips are like, it's just scary. It's a grown man just hurting high school kids, just demolishing their spirit.
I had no idea that he was even a receiver. That'd be scary. That'd be like, that's bigger than like DK Metcalf.
A lot of receivers in high school who end up playing defensive end, if they're really defensive ends, because they're big and they're fast as shit. So it's like, yeah, if I got a guy we had a guy on our team who ran like a 4.39 in track, but it's probably more of a 4.4. He's a long strider, but he's really a basketball player. Played receiver, couldn't catch, played defensive end because he's big as shit and strong and fast. So why not get him to the quarterback? Didn't really do much as a defensive end whatsoever because he didn't play like 2 years and he's mainly a ball player. But you get guys like that who are stupid, ridiculous athletes, and they either stay defensive end or they go to receiver. Our starting quarterback was our starting defensive end at one point. Then he played safety and realized that he couldn't play safety. But he was so strong. Like, he came in as a freshman with veins on veins. So it's like, when you see cats who are like just bred to play a position, you're like, damn. And Clowney was the number 1 player coming out of college. The thing is, Clowney's not a bad player, but he's not an elite pass rusher. He uses his speed and strength to be a monster in the run game. So it's like nearly impossible to run on him because he's so fast and strong that he just blows up whatever you're going to do as far as running the ball. And then he's not your best pass rusher. He's not getting double teamed. You have Myles Garrett on the other side who's all world and getting double and triple teamed. Well, you can't double Myles Garrett and leave Clowney one-on-one against your right tackle.
No.
That's just not fair. You're going to lose. He'll get to the quarterback, and especially if he's the second option, that's a problem. And then you got Sheldon Richardson, and I think they have a hole at D-tackle, but they signed some guys. If you slide Olivier Vernon into D-tackle, who's a pass rusher, and he's good, now you got an issue. And you can put Clowney at D-tackle in different, like, NASCAR-type packages where they have, like, 4 defensive ends on the field if it's a nickel formation. and you got your nickel linebackers out there, and you slide, one D tackle, 3 defensive ends, that gives Cleveland a lot of versatility. So,
well, what with Cleveland doing this big pickup here with Jadaveon today is, I mean, where are there gaps in this team? I mean, this team just not too long ago being the winless team and just always getting top draft picks, and these top draft picks, even controversial with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's producing, and he's competing in that division where you have aging Ben Roethlisberger, who's probably not going to do very much at all for the Steelers this year. You got coming up Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not going to be somebody not to look out for. If that guy could get some protection, they're going to compete. And then, of course, you have the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Cleveland has definitely put their picks together. They've picked up some good people. I mean, with Myles Garrett and Jadaveon. Where are they really gapped, and what do they need to address in this draft coming up?
I'd say Cleveland could potentially just take another linebacker, because if anything, they got a lot of free agents on defense. If they want to go offensive line at the end of the first round, that would be an interesting pick. They did improve it. I mean, they got a solid right tackle. They got their left tackle of the future. It really just depends on if they want to go get somebody at guard or get somebody at tackle and move them to guard. But an offense, like tight end, running back, receiver, they're fine. So they're going to have to go defense. They either go best player available, or they go with a linebacker. If a corner falls to them, they could take it, but they already got Troy Hill from the Rams and the safety Johnson, and you have Grant Delpit. So really, they're probably going to take a linebacker. If I had to guess, the Buckus Player of the Year, Linebacker of the Year, the Tulsa, Collins, or maybe even Chaz Surratt. But out of North Carolina, but I could see them probably taking a linebacker / edge. Probably an outside linebacker, if anything, just to upgrade what they already have. But Cleveland's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. That division's getting tough. I mean, who knows? I mean, what do they do with Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, though? It's just like, they draft another quarterback? Do they
got hold. They're gonna have to take a running back in the first round, probably.
Yeah.
Just for the sheer fact, James Conner signed with the Cardinals. They don't really have a running back. Their left tackle is a free agent, Villanueva. Defense is good, but they need help for sure. Like, if anything, I mean, if a QB falls, I could see them taking a QB. Like Trey Lance, if he falls, or Justin Fields falls. That would be stupid if Justin Fields falls.
What is this talk with Justin Fields?
Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Pete D. Camarillo calling from Lusinger High School.
Oh, boy. Our high school beat reporter, Pete Camarillo, padding stats. Speaking of padding stats, what's the score out there in Lusinger country?
It got called at halftime, 51-0. Hostler.
Jesus Christ. At halftime?
Yeah, they were getting smacked around, and Lusinger was clowning every pick six, every scoop and score, so I don't really blame Hawthorne, but
the coaches were trying to, what were the coaches trying to do? Were they hyped, or was it just like, yo, chill?
Yeah, I mean, it's senior night, so just sucks for them, sucks for freshmen, but it is what it is. Win is a win.
This is your first introduction into the Lusinger Hawthorne rivalry. So tell me about some of the showboating and showmanship What was the pregame, intensity like? What was it out there?
It was pretty intense. I mean, considering there wasn't that many fans, but they were hyped up. Maybe a little bit too hyped up, but I don't think it really mattered. But yeah, man, just crazy to see where the high school game is at.
I mean, when they called the game, did they do like a post-game handshake, or was it just like, nah, we're just going to call it?
They didn't, of course. They weren't even kneeling for injuries or climbing up or anything. So, like I said, I don't really blame Hawthorne. The coach has got to protect the kids. That's his job first and foremost. And, if you're playing in a game like that where your kids are getting smacked around and getting disrespected and you're not doing anything, eventually you got to call the fight. Shake hands and do it again another day.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, in your years of seeing high school football and rivalries
this was the sorriest team I've ever seen. But they only had 20 kids.
Yeah.
They were all pretty undersized, so the outcome isn't that surprising. Just I feel bad for all the kids because this is why discipline matters. You only get so many quarters in this game, and you can't take it for granted. That's 2 quarters. Losing could have used to get better, get their guys some reps, get everyone some tape. And because the reality is, they would not like it if Lawndale did that to them.
That's true.
Fair
and
enough.
Lawndale's blown them out before.
Yeah. I believe it. Shout out to Coach Cory.
So,
anyway,
what
are you guys talking about?
We're talking about, we kind of started talking about that. I talked about how Uber Eats pooched my order, so I just canceled it. And they just said, all right, we'll just wipe it off free of charge. I was like, well, I was really hungry. Fuck those guys. Yeah, we talked about Clowney. He signed with the Browns, 1 year, $10 million. And Cleveland's looking like they're just going to take best player available. Or they might trade back. Just load up the roster. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I like what Cleveland did. I mean, you saw what Olivier Vernier did last year with 9 sacks. And Clowney's a better athlete, a little bit younger. So you got to imagine seeing all those single teams with Flash Gordon on the other side, like the real Flash Gordon. I got to imagine that works out pretty well.
Will you be using them in Madden is the real question.
I'll be using them in the Seahawks for other reasons, since they also signed a DN that I'm fond of.
Oh, Aldon Smith, you mean?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think that's a great pickup for them. They need some help on that defense, and then Aldon Smith is probably just hungry for it.
Pete?
Did Pete go away?
Pete, you bringing up a fight, right? You bringing up a fight?
I got a situation.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later, Pete.
All right, bye.
He might have been breaking up a fight.
Just don't get stabbed, all right, man? I mean...
Losing your Hawthorne beef is real, and the parents take it away.
Broken beer bottles. I've actually been in something like that when I was younger in junior high, man. Like, we had, put on our helmets and get the fuck out of there.
Oh, yeah. When we used to go to El Segundo, they would just tell us not to take our helmets off because El Segundo was, mad racist. So we show up on this mostly white school. By the way, they shot super bad at El Segundo. So we pull up to El Segundo, don't take your helmets off when you get off the bus.
Yeah, man. That's
Don't
just,
react to anything.
You know, it sucks with the kids seeing that, dude. I mean, you play some sports and everything, and to get and actually have like a focus and everything for kids, and just I don't know, parents either smoking too much weed or drinking too much and taking it's you know, have you ever watched the South Park episodes where Stan's dad gets belligerently drunk and watches them at, I think it's like their kids' baseball games, and
fight me.
Yeah, like it's not far from that, but like sometimes a little over the edge. But you know, shout out to the hardcore dads out there, dad fans.
Or it's worse when it's like the semi-abusive dad and the son just wants to play sports, but like the dad's getting way too into the shit. Now the kid's crying, and they're like, "Oh shit, we're having a fucking episode right here." And like all the kids are real like trying to gather around the kid, and then you know like one of the coaches might have to fight the dad because he's being abusive as fuck to his kid. You playing like shit, son, and it's like he's actually not. You're being a shit human being yelling at a 9-year-old or yelling at like a fucking 15-year-old. Like this kid is gonna have abusive issues because you were a failure in life at whatever you tried to do in sports, and you want to like impose this shit onto him, and he's just trying to have fun because his sports is his escape from your crazy ass. Like there's a lot there, and then when you find out he punched his girlfriend, and you're like, where did you get all that anger from? I wonder from where, Dad. I wonder from fucking where. But yeah, I've seen that play out a couple times, and it's really sad. And this was like when I was playing for the Junior Lakers, I saw some stuff. And my mom told me things later in life. I'm like, oh, that's why that happened.
Wow. I'm going to just completely transition that and just talk about how Julian Edelman is
not a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. I mean, Julian Edelman, I'll be honest, though. He's had a stellar career. Like, it's you could maybe say storybook career if it weren't for, well, it is the Patriots. I mean, this guy, he was a 7th-round draft pick. He was just kind of like a utility guy that originally just kind of filled in sometimes at corner, I think, and was a wide receiver and a punt returner, and then became later, just a couple years ago, an MVP of a Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably the worst offensive Super Bowl of all time. Here's my thing, okay? I looked it up and we put it on IG earlier in the week. Dwayne Bowe has like 7,700 receiving yards for his career and more Pro Bowls than Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman has 0 Pro Bowls. Troy Brown, who played corner actually, and I think was a damn near almost a Pro Bowl add-in and played corner in the Pro Bowl, has one more Pro Bowl than Julian Edelman and played corner. Had like 3 picks in 1 year. As a corner in the NFL. He went from receiver to corner because they had no corners for the Patriots and was damn near a Pro Bowl corner. Like, that is some wild shit. And if you're a receiver who needs 100 catches to get 1,000 yards, A, you're probably not that great. And B, like, you're a slot guy. He ran like a 4.56. He's technically, he's in the Kent State Hall of Fame as a quarterback because he put up outstanding dual threat numbers as a QB at Kent State, but Kent State never won anything. So, great for him. Rags to riches story. But what you're not going to do is tell me because Tom Brady force-fed, because he loves force-feeding white receivers, just go look at it.
Jesus.
Danny Amendola, Wes Welker.
He also had Randy Moss.
Yeah, but he didn't give him... Randy Moss didn't have 100 catches for the Patriots. He had like 23 touchdowns, I think, on 90-something catches.
Just the long ball, dude. Chicks
but
love the long ball, man.
They do, but did he get 120 receptions?
No.
Because he didn't need 100 catches.
He didn't need to. Do you remember how he played for Tennessee? Just like...
That was... We don't talk about those
times. I mean, like, Randy, you see today...
Randy was still fast with Tennessee. That was the scary part. He was still fast.
He was, but he just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it's
at that point in his career, he was just like, fuck it.
And then he went back to the Vikings like, oh, you're not going to throw me the ball either? Well, fuck it then.
Yeah.
But, like, you can't tell me a dude who has 6,600 or 6,200 career yards. He has 36 receiving touchdowns in 12 years. How the fuck is he a Hall of Famer? Julian Edelman.
No. I mean...
36 touchdowns in 12 years.
No. I mean, like, the thing is, though, is just like...
Never had more than 7 touchdowns in a season.
No. He had Gronkowski. Gronkowski and then Aaron Hernandez. Remember that murdering bastard?
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Did you have an Aaron Hernandez jersey?
No, I was like, I respected Florida, but I was like, if USC had never gotten screwed over by the NCAA, Florida Dynasty never happens, and I put money on that. Florida Dynasty can't happen if USC is doing what they were doing, and he would have stole some. He was stealing recruits out of Florida, like he should have recruited Devin Hester, but he didn't. He would just cast a wide net and get the best West Coast talent, but he would get somebody from Texas. He would get somebody from Tennessee. Hell, USC was recruiting Jalen Ramsey heavy at one point, but anyway. When I think about all that, Edelman has 118 receptions in 19 playoff games. Okay. You were going up against linebackers, slot corners. Like, yeah, you beat some good corners, but like, and he was good, don't get me wrong. Great at times. But he's not if he's a black slot receiver and has the same numbers, no one's calling him a Hall of Famer. That's the media. That's East Coast bias because he played in Boston. I'm like, no. Steve Smith averaged in 17 playoff games a rushing touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown, a kick return for a touchdown, 17 yards per catch, 1,000 receiving yards, I think like 6 TDs. Like, Steve Smith has almost 15,000 receiving yards. And he's smaller than Edelman.
Yeah. Well, Steve Smith was...
3rd round pick out of fucking Utah by way of Santa Monica Junior College. Him and Chad Johnson played on the same junior college football team. That is insane to me.
Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco.
And Steve Smith Sr. played on the same football team.
That's a lot of attitude.
One's from Florida and one's from LA.
That's a lot of shit talking.
That's a lot of fight. That's a lot of DBs just getting embarrassed repeatedly. Like, that's a lot of DBs. There's a lot of violence and animosity in those DB receiver situations. But yeah, Dwayne Bowe has like 7,700 receiving yards, led the league in receiving touchdowns with 15 one year. Finished his career with Cleveland. He had a great rookie year. He won a national championship at LSU. Like, he's not a Hall of Famer with those numbers. Even if he had... Actually, he might be a Hall of Famer if you gave him Edelman's numbers in the playoffs. But even still, makes no sense. Troy Brown, again, a couple less... He has more receiving touchdowns than him, but less yards. Edelman was really like the fastest, best version of a slot receiver that New England had. He's the best version of that. Like, if you take... I'm talking about a homegrown... with Welker? Yeah, he was better than Welker. Welker was just a system player as far as I'm concerned. In a system where he can run certain routes, be on linebackers and nickel corners, he's winning. But if you put Champ Bailey on Wes Welker, he's getting locked up. Against an elite number 1 corner, Edelman was cooking a couple people. I'll give him that. But he's nowhere near a Hall of Famer. It's disrespectful to the Hall of Fame and to Terrell Owens if you put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame. Because now you're like, okay, regular season doesn't matter. It's what you did in the playoffs. Hold on. That's the case. Cliff Branch has about almost 9,000 receiving yards, about 70 some odd touchdowns, and he played in the 80s. So they didn't throw the ball that much in the 80s. So how is it that this dude has almost 3,000 more receiving yards than Julian Edelman, like 40 more receiving touchdowns almost, but Cliff Branch is a 3-time champ, 3-time Super Bowl champion, I think a 3-time All-Pro and a 4-time Pro Bowler, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. Because the NFL doesn't like Raiders. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole other story. Well, how Steeler players just keep getting shoved in the Hall of Fame left and right, but those same Raiders players who were playing in that era don't get any love.
I think it's more just the exposure right now of what the NFL is. I mean, right now, maybe the last 10, 20 years is just that the NFL is this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. And then to where you're building billion-dollar stadiums and they pay for it with the exposure to the NFL. And the last 20 years, you've seen the Patriots and Tom Brady playing in playoff games and winning every other Super Bowl. And so, therefore, there's a lot of media out there on Tom Brady in his later years connecting with Julian Edelman and possibly, I mean, Julian Edelman was awesome in that MVP. They had to give it to somebody, the MVP. I honestly
the Seattle
thought.
game, the Rams game, the Falcons game. Yeah, he came up clutch.
Yeah.
He came up clutch where Wes Welker failed.
Yeah, but that was everybody's all eyes on that, and that was the Super Bowl, and again, Patriots in the Super Bowl or Patriots just in the playoffs. I mean, what they only didn't make the playoffs 1 year or something like that in the last 20 years, twice, yeah. And was that one of those years was when
Brady tore his
ACL, and they were still in 11
games.
Yeah, they still won 11 games. So, I mean, it's kind of weird and kind of relieving to see where they were last year because they were absolute trash.
Yeah, even Keyshawn Johnson talked about it like, yo, don't disrespect Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. Like, even when Julian Edelman came into the league, he wasn't on the level of a Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones or any of these guys.
Absolutely not. Never will be.
Like, Skip Bayless said some dumbass line about, like, well, Edelman had like the most first down catches. Yeah, he's a slow white slot receiver. Of course he's fucking getting catches. He's running like 7-yard routes, 5-yard routes, and getting to the sticks because he's slow and he's a slot receiver and he's probably barely averaging 10 or 11 yards a catch for his career. So that's why he can get all those targets running in the slot and occasionally on the outside because they're probably taking away his other options. So you're going to feed the ball to a slot receiver. It's disrespectful to call him a Hall of Famer. Is he one of the greatest Super Bowl performers of all time? Yeah. But there's a lot of guys who had great Super Bowls, and I'm not calling Willie Parker a Hall of Famer. Willie Parker had a great career for the Steelers. Longest touchdown run in Super Bowl history. Broke Marcus Allen's record by 1 yard for the Steelers.
But not a Hall of Famer.
Not a Hall of Famer. You can look up Willie Parker's stats. The fact that man got faster by racing his friend's pit bulls, and that's how he ended up running a 4.240, that's just a hilariously ridiculous and amazing story. And he was undrafted out of North Carolina. Like, come on. But yeah, I no disrespect to him, but it's disrespect to guys like Torrey Holt, who I met personally at the Senior Bowl and shook his hand and saw how fucked up his fingers are.
Yeah, they're
catching 1,000 balls a day and leading like Hines Ward, 1,000 catches. I talk shit about Hines Ward because I'm a Raiders fan and he's a Steeler, but he's one of the greatest receivers in NFL history.
He was probably definitely one of the top hitting receivers.
Yeah, like I don't think he makes the Hall of Fame just based off the sheer fact that if you look at who he played with and how much Hall of Fame talent he had around him, it was kind of easy to put up those numbers when, like, bro, they're not double covering you because they're stacking the box. You're getting a lot of one-on-one coverage. You're crackbacking on linebackers. Like, Big Ben had damn near Hall of Fame defense every year.
Yeah.
Dick LeBeau, like you had Jerome Bettis, and then you didn't have Jerome Bettis, you had Willie Parker, then you had Rashard Mendenhall. Like you always had a strong running game, great offensive line, great defense, Alan Faneca, Heath Miller, like, and then there's Hines Ward, who was just really, and you got Plaxico Burress at one point, you had Santonio Holmes, so it's like, nah, Hines Ward is great, but not Hall of Fame great. Torrey Holt, like, ended up being better than Isaac Bruce. I mean, Isaac Bruce still has more career touchdowns. He has 91 touchdowns. You can't take that away. But Torrey Holt was the best receiver in the league at one point. Like, and I think a lot of these receivers are getting punished because, yeah, not everybody can win the Super Bowl, bro. But if all these guys have Hall of Fame resumes, Hall of Fame talent, Torrey Holt was a 6th overall pick in the draft when he came out. And his numbers validate his Hall of Fame status. Steve Smith, Andre Johnson would have been probably had Jerry Rice numbers, probably would have surpassed Jerry Rice's numbers if you gave him Peyton Manning for his whole career. But no, he had trash. Like, he put up those numbers with trash QBs.
I mean, that's the history of the Texans and the young being, and what, they've been in the league for 20 years now?
Barely.
But yeah, I mean, what quarterbacks, and they've had distinctive
Schaub was trash.
Receivers. They had Johnson, they had Hopkins that they just left. I mean now they have and then Deshaun Watson right now is going through all this
turmoil.
Shit. I mean, again, we've talked about it for weeks, but it's like now, what is it, like 23 women who are coming forward and they have to identify themselves?
A couple people recanted, and it's a whole situation. It's nowhere near over yet, but you gotta let the legal system play out in that regard. But when you think about it, like, yeah, Brandon Marshall, even, who coming out of UCF, like, he made himself into an all-pro receiver. And he was a later round pick. Chad Johnson, again, Hall of Fame. Very few people ran better routes and had more devastating agility and feet than Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson's not a Hall of Famer, though.
Chad Johnson, I feel like, is a Hall of Famer. If Michael Irvin is a Hall of Famer, Chad Johnson can be a Hall of Famer. Because Chad Johnson individually is a better receiver than Michael Irvin, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they didn't win enough over there with him.
Yeah, but that's not his fault. His defense was trash. That's not his fault. It's just like if Edelman didn't go to any other team, you would never hear his name.
Yeah, but still, Edelman's not going to be a Hall of Famer. He's just.
But those guys like Chad Johnson, Torrey Holt, a lot of these receivers, Fitzgerald never won a Super Bowl. And let's be honest, you can cut out the last 8 years of his career. If we're keeping it a bean, he's just been racking up numbers and yards like the last 4 years.
Yeah,
he's not a viable starter in the league at this age, and he hasn't been. For about 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's why they got AJ Green.
Yeah, I lived in Phoenix when they were going on, when him and Anquan Boldin were the best duel in.
Steve Preston.
Yeah, and Steve Preston. Like they like that team was stacked. I mean, quarterbacks were iffy except with Kurt Warner. Actually, came in. Leinard was drafted by. I mean, Leinard was loved in Phoenix too, and
didn't work out.
And it just didn't work out. He just had the floating touch didn't work in the NFL.
They knew he had no arm strength.
None.
His Madden rating was overrated at best.
But
Dwayne Jarrett had no real speed, and Matt Leinart threw floaters.
Yeah, but like it was incredible watching that. But like. Larry Fitz in his early years with a complimentary Anquan Boldin. I mean, these guys were just downright nasty of receivers. They were just insane.
And I say Anquan Boldin could be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Anquan.
I love breaks his jaw the way he did
and come back,
and then kept playing. He ran a 4.7 coming out of college.
Yeah,
he wasn't supposed to be shit based off standards and draft gurus or lack thereof, coming out of Florida State, being a former QB, switching a receiver, broke the rookie. He had the greatest rookie year for a receiver ever up until Fitzgerald or somebody broke it. I forget who broke his record. Might have been Odell, but it's just insane to think like there's so many great receivers from this era, and the stupid excuse is going to be, oh, they passed more. What? That's dumb. Like, now, first off, we live in an era where we passed way more when Edelman played, and he couldn't crack 7,000 receiving yards. He couldn't get 8 receiving touchdowns in the season. At no time ever in the NFL was he ever a top 15 receiver.
No.
Ever. Not ever.
The thing is, with Edelman, within the system they had, he was a great alternate to where they had the two tight ends. They had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. So
yeah, he was a coverage killer because you don't guard the slot, somebody on the outside is going to catch it, just based off the how the offense works. And if Gronk don't get it, I trust Edelman to beat your second corner every time, and maybe your best corner some of the time. But I think he's a great player. He's the greatest receiver in Patriot history. Because I can't say Randy Moss, because Randy Moss... he
only had 1 year.
He only had like 2 years there.
2 years.
2, 3. And he's great, but he wasn't drafted by that team. He went there for free agency, so that don't count.
He got paid there, didn't he, at that time?
Yeah, you could say that, the Raiders trade, you could say T.O. is the greatest receiver in Eagles history, arguably, but there's Harold Carmichael. But also T.O. is much better than Harold Carmichael.
Yeah.
So I could say he had the best receiving year for an Eagles receiver ever. And arguably he's the best Eagle receiver of all time. You can say that about T.O. You can make that case. But Edelman's like, yeah, he's the best Patriot receiver of all time. But he's nowhere near a Hall of Famer. And they're only saying that because there's some racial biases there. Like, if he wasn't white, they wouldn't be saying this.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it to Edelman.
Because Troy Brown has almost identical numbers.
Well, I give it to Edelman. And I don't think he had a Hall of Fame career, but I think he had a good storybook career. Like he's one. It's one to talk about. It's one to be proud about.
Make a movie out of it.
Make a movie out of it. Another movie with his Tinder date profile and everything too in Boston. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, but just his work ethic and just being a small dude to have that kind of career and long career and then have the hardware to show for it.
His knee gave out. He damn near got decapitated a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't know how Edelman. I just hope he doesn't get CTE because that dude got his cranium.
Yeah, he took
cracked
a lot
a couple
of hit.
times. I was like, is he not? If he's not dead, he has to be high on painkillers because any grown man getting hit that hard at that speed. And you know it's coming, and sometimes he didn't know the hit was coming, and it's like, oh shit, that hit shortened your career, by a season or two.
Then the NFL's just gotta let these guys smoke some weed, dude. Seriously, I mean, most of them already are, but like, if they get caught with it, just especially now that it's legal and
he
stuff.
got popped on steroids, and they just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them do steroids and stuff. I mean, he's a guy.
It's like supplements that have stuff in it that's illegal, but that's a whole nother issue that I think we gotta have to revisit that too. Because I mean, unless he was just straight out Robert Mathis was taking his wife's fertility pills. It's like, is that really cheating? It's kind of cheating because it's in the rule, but it's like, fam, you took women's fertility pills. Hormone pills from an injury he had.
Well,
so
most people take that just to it's a sign that
faster.
they recover, and so.
But it's not giving you extra ability. If you're using something to recover from an injury, I don't really consider that cheating, unless like you're injured as fuck and you're doing the Ivan Drago, then you're cheating. But if you're only doing that to get back to where you already are, that's not cheating.
Just have some stem cells for them to rejuvenate,
Yeah. So, like, if it's the Edelman situation where it's like, okay, he did some shit to get his testosterone levels back up to where they normally are, but if you're trying to go higher than what you are, then you're cheating. But if you're trying to get back to where you are faster, that's not cheating. That's gamesmanship. But Pete's probably screaming somewhere. Because I said that. Oh, really?
No,
really, bro?
What would make Pete scream is talking about how great that Ezekiel Elliott is not.
Or stepping in dog shit, allegedly. But anyway, college football news. So Eddie George is now the new coach at Tennessee State University.
Well, he's never going to be the coach of Ohio State. Let's just put it that way. I mean, unless he does really great here. Eddie George probably won. I don't know. What do you say? He's a Heisman winner for Ohio State, so one of the best running backs to ever come out of that.
I think what a lot of, and me and Pete kind of talked about this like throughout the week, a lot of these pro players want to use HBCUs to be a head coach. And some of them, like Dion, like others, want to actually be coaches. And in some cases, they also want to do it for clout. it's not up for me to judge who wants to do it for clout, but I think if you leave to go to take an FBS job 2 years in and don't honor your full contract at an HBCU, that lets me know what you're really about. Ray Lewis probably is more of the clout situation. Ed Reed was an assistant, like kind of an assistant coach to some extent at Miami, and he has been for a couple of years, and he's tried to get into the coaching portal, but for some reason, like former players, former greats, Hall of Famers, is like, yeah, this random white dude who never played football, who allegedly is really good at analytics, he can be a head coach of a team because he's under a certain coaching umbrella, but he has no real playing experience whatsoever. Wasn't even good when he played football in high school or whatever NAIA school he went to. Looking at you, John Gruden, or Joe Judge or whoever. Like you've never played at that high level, but because these dudes played at a high Hall of Fame level, now you're telling me they can't be coaches? Yeah, that's kind of whack. And I hope Eddie George actually turns it around at Tennessee State. A lot of these black coaches who probably were never going to get a leg up in the college, or they'll just be an assistant, they can come to an HBCU and be a head coach and actually turn programs around. Like you look at Alcorn State, you look at Alabama A&M. And some of these guys, when they see these pro athletes coming in HBCUs, they're like, you're just here for clout. You're not really here for the kids. And yeah, we'll use your name, the school will use your name to sell some tickets. But are you really about trying to teach these kids? Or you think it's just like some high school where you can just, it's a high school full of a bunch of kids, transfers from whatever. It's not an all-star team. It's not a traveling team. Like, these are D1 college athletes trying to do something, trying to make it. And we'll see what happens with Eddie George. Deion Sanders, people were saying, like, yeah, he's coaching, but he also has, like, 3 straight losses, and he got clapped by Alabama A&M. Like, it was a close game, but one dude had, like, 7 touchdowns by himself. So it's not as easy as you think. And, yeah, recruiting classes, whatever the strength of his recruiting class, his first recruiting class, will show up 2 or 3 years from now, not this season. The QB has Jalen Jones, who played at Florida and transferred. He's transferring again. He had 12 touchdowns, 3 picks, I think 5 rushing touchdowns in the 5 games he played for Jackson State. And he's transferring. His son is supposed to be the heir apparent, the new guy, but the guy that replaced Jalen Jones went 30 for 47 for like 400 yards passing, looked pretty good. We'll see if Shadur Sanders, his son, actually plays up to the hype of a 4-star recruit and what he's really supposed to be for that program. Who knows? Because he's not playing this year. It'll be for the fall. He's not eligible yet. So my biggest thing is with these coaches, I need to see what you're going to do with your recruiting class. And you can't just use these HBCUs as a photo op, because it's going to come off phony and you're going to hurt the cause of other black players who want to get into coaching. So we'll see what happens. There's that. And Ed Reed and Ray Lewis want to be coaches. Yeah. Okay, so a random guy snuck onto the field at USC.
What's up with that? I mean,
kind of teased it last week. Petros Papadakis was a USC alum, captain of the worst football team in USC history. Not my words, his. He talked about it on Petros and Money, but then also like Fox Sports confirmed it. And so a guy that apparently all the security guards knew, he not only was eating dinner at the facility with the team, he was not only in the sauna, in the tubs, and the pools with the team, he literally was out there fielding punts. I just find it hilarious that. Shout out to Scott Wolf of Inside USC, because he's the one who actually came. He's actually the one who reported it, and then Petros Papadakis confirmed it. So he shared a jacuzzi with some of the players, ate at the team's dining facility, and he's known to USC security to blend in with the football team because he looks their age, and he can say he's a walk-on. So apparently he's, I guess, done it before.
Oh, wow.
He got a jersey, a helmet, cleats, and he wasn't stopped by security at all. Security was called because the football staffer didn't recognize this dude. And a source with USC security team told Wolf that the man might still be out there if he didn't try to field punts because people with the team might not have noticed him. But security did.
That's hilarious, though. Like, the balls for that. I mean, I would love to have done that myself as, like, a young guy. Just wanted to walk on 2 games. Like, fuck it, I'm just going to go out there anyway and practice. Maybe I'll make the team.
You got to hang out with the linemen or the long snappers.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it's like they knew him from previously. He was found inside the soccer field.
Is he like living out there, or is he just is it you have a tent around the corner? It is downtown over there, USC, so
it's kind of tent city. But
yeah, I mean,
apparently he was just there. He was just there. I'm like,
COVID-19. I guys got to eat, man. Like, I'm gonna go. I'll practice. I'll work out with you guys. Just fucking feed me.
Man got a full-fledged college meal, bro. Like, and probably somebody on the team was like, "Who is this dude?"
Right?
Probably didn't know him. I just, wow.
His picture is probably gonna be on campus. Like, don't let this guy. Don't feed this guy. He had a good run though.
I don't even know what to say.
Just some peeping Tom just coming around, just like, hey, I mean, like
at USC though.
Yeah,
like I know it's in the heart of the hood, but CSUN has better security than that. Come on, Cal State Northridge has better security than that.
No.
Long Beach State has better security than that. Cal State LA has better security than that. That's Cal State LA. Sorry if I offended somebody from Cal State LA. But come on. High schools have better security than that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Lawndale, Losing, and Hawthorne have better security than that. And they barely have security. Oh, my goodness.
Just imagine.
Oh, shit. He was just out there. Imagine if he took one to the house.
Right?
Imagine if he hit somebody and got hurt.
You have to give him a scholarship, man. Feed him.
Yeah, what if he hurt somebody?
Do you think
though?
he's a student?
Who knows how old he is? That's the thing. He looks young, but what if he's like 35?
He's probably an LA actor.
32. What? Yeah, for a movie role?
Dude, no, seriously. It's just an out-of-work actor right there, man. Just like, you know what? I am going to be on Varsity Blues 2022, you know?
Damn, what if he was pulling on this for a role?
He's like Vanderbeek, you know?
This is... I do not want your life.
I'll be honest. That was my high school, like, football movie. That and, like, American Pie, if that dates me a little bit, bro. But
it definitely does.
Yeah.
But I fuck with Varsity Blues.
Fucking Dawson, dude. And
that coach was a piece of shit. Was it James Caan, or what was his real name in real life? He's a famous actor.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Wouldn't give the black running back the ball on the goal line.
God damn it.
It's like, he's like, it's not this bullshit again. Mox is like, I got you, bro. Relax.
Small town Texas, man. I mean, like, that's how kind of like Southern New Mexico football was a little bit. Just these little small town Texas guys going on. I mean, I don't know about their teachers being strippers in a little podunk town. If you live in a town that's smaller than like 1,000 people and you go to a strip club, like, don't be surprised if you know that person, like, through family and cousins.
If stripper's my teacher, I'm definitely trying to smash.
Yeah.
I'll keep it low. I swear I'll keep it low. I won't say shit. I'll purposely just get a B in your class just so it's not so like nobody bats an eye. Like he got an A and he always raising his hand.
As your teacher, are you tipping your teacher during class though?
I'm doing wild shit that I probably shouldn't say on the air. If my teacher's a stripper and she's down, and I'm on the football team, man. I cut the grass on the weekends. We can go to church together, sit in different pews. We'll make it like, look, it'll be totally inconspicuous. Nobody will ever know.
Totally.
It's like that TikTok, nobody will know. How will they know? They'll never know. But yeah. So the guests that we have coming on, they're probably going to call at like 9:30. So we're just going to jump to...
So I was trying to say this a little bit earlier, but Taker 10, Justin Fields draft stock rumors and criticism.
So yeah, me and Pete have been talking about this for a while now, and this is bigger than Justin Fields. This is bigger than Cash Money. This is shout out to New Jack City. I totally butchered Wesley Snipes' line, but when I sit back and think about this situation, if America doesn't respect black people, definitely black males, because we've just been seeing what's happened the past week. Racist cop who fucking apparently doesn't know the difference between a goddamn sidearm and a fucking taser, even though if you're a cop, your gun is on your dominant hand side. So the fact that you don't know the difference between a gun and a taser and you murdered somebody in cold blood for no reason, I've been trying to avoid that all week. But in a country that doesn't respect or give a fuck about black men in any shape, form, or reality, when I think about football and how it's dominated and like it's always seen through the lens of like white male hierarchy at the QB position, it's easy to shit on Justin Fields even though his own coaches are saying he's outstanding. And that's the narrative people run with to justify why he fell. That's trash to me. That's a trash take. It's bullshit. And I guarantee if Trevor Lawrence was black, he wouldn't be rated as high. Because that's how much the like racism and inherent bias is seethed into a lot of this evaluation of quarterbacks. Especially now when a lot of these quarterbacks are all athletes and they can run, and you can't just be a statue in the pocket anymore, and offenses are evolving. And it's one thing, like, they tried to give Johnny Manziel a fucking Hall of Fame jacket when he came out of Texas A&M. Oh, he beat the great Nick Saban, this, that, and the third.
He got lucky.
But he had Mike Evans. Mike Evans had like 300 receiving yards. They couldn't stop Mike Evans. That was really the only thing. And Johnny was running for his life and missing all his other reads. But
he got juked. He was just like a fancier Doug Flutie that was back there.
A taller, more athletic Doug Flutie with a bigger arm.
Yeah.
But, Manziel was out here with domestic violence charges, doing drugs, all types of wild shit, and never really did anything special with Texas A&M. As far as like big bowl games,
yeah, he
beat Duke. Ooh,
yeah, no, it was just I thought Johnny Manziel came in a year or two early, but he just wanted to make his money, but it just he just couldn't get he wasn't right in the head. He was too young. He just wasn't right.
He's a spoiled little rich kid who found some success in football and then became a fucking drug addict.
Yeah, he was more of a personality than anything else.
It's like Bosworth all over again, but at the quarterback position. But if he was black and had all the charges against him that he did, he would have been blackballed out of the league. Like, if Tim Tebow was black, they would have made him switch positions to play fullback. Or if he was Samoan, yeah, he'd have fucking had to switch positions. But because they knew he couldn't throw worth shit, and he wasn't that great at reading a defense, but because he was tough, I'm like, yeah, he was tough, but like you could have taken him. If Cam Newton had stayed in Florida and Tim Tebow didn't happen, he had NFL players, the whole roster, 80% of the roster made it to the fucking league. Off those Florida teams. If you spread it off 3-4 years, whole recruiting classes made it to the league, with the exception of a couple people. So when I see and hear that, it's like, okay, if Fields was white, if Zach Wilson was black at BYU, and BYU don't even have black QBs like that up until like this past year, and that dude either transferred or no longer on the team, but they had Zach Wilson. So Zach Wilson was black and did exactly what he did for BYU and couldn't beat Coastal Carolina because they're a powerhouse. He'd have all types of negative reviews. Anytime when it's a black QB prospect, they have to say some outrageously negative shit to where it's like, oh, that's a flaw in his game, but it's not really a flaw in his game. Trey Lance, it's not really, they can't really do it to Trey Lance because, like, you played at North Dakota State, bro. You didn't really play anybody tough. You played at the FCS level. Yeah, if you play at that level and you're dominant, then it's easier to grade you because they can trust, like, okay, he played against lesser talent and whooped everybody's ass. So he's probably going to be a pretty good player. Versus Fields, who was literally like the best player in the country outside of Trevor Lawrence, transferred to Georgia. They wanted to make him a tight end. He's like, fuck that. And then had to deal with the racism from the baseball team and other stuff. And he's a really great baseball player too, by the way. Transfers to Ohio State, puts up ungodly numbers at Ohio State, and then puts the team on his back, even though they got killed in the national title game. Almost got his ribs shattered against Clemson. Showed toughness, heart, moxie, poise. Did everything with his reads. Let's not act like his receivers were world breakers this year, because they weren't. It was really their run game and him. He was their offense. He made them go. And you want to sit up here and have this private source, this nameless source said this. I fucking hate that. Like, put your name on it and say this is what you think, this is a criticism. But don't come out and say some shit, from something that happened a couple of years ago, or you think this person is this or this person is that, or his family member yelled at a scout at a camp one time. Like, I hate that. I hate those anonymous reports, because that's cowardly, because you're not going to put your name on it because you know it's probably bullshit. But yeah, that's my whole tangent.
Well, I think with Justin Fields, I don't think he's going to drop out of the top 6, top 8, maybe 10. But like, I still think he's might be even going second overall. I don't know what all this criticism is. He's one of the best athletes. I mean, do you really see Mac Jones being better than Justin Fields?
Nope.
No,
I said it. I was like, if you put Justin Fields on that Alabama offense, they put up 80 points on Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like, he already ran a 4.4, rocket arm, great decision making. He only had like 4 interceptions in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and he had 10 touchdowns rushing in one season. If you put Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence on that Alabama team in that offense against an SEC schedule, they are putting up ungodly numbers. Like, Trevor Lawrence would have probably thrown like 70 touchdowns and 4 picks. Fields probably would have thrown about 65 touchdowns, no picks, 20 rushing touchdowns. Because you got Najee Harris, you got Waddle before he got hurt, Devonta Smith, Michi, the third receiver, who's also insanely fast. Like, you have all that talent on offense, and Mac Jones put up those numbers, which is what he was supposed to do. But I don't think Mac Jones puts up those numbers if he's playing at LSU this year, or if he's playing at Ohio State, because, like, it's easy to drive fast in a Ferrari, but you can't drive the same way in a Ferrari that you do in a pickup truck.
No.
Or in a Prius.
Well, they're saying there's a lot of rumor with this quarterback here, because they're saying possibilities of even having maybe the Patriots draft up to come get him if they get him like maybe at 10. But like the Patriots, I mean, scoring any kind of weird draft pick, because I'm not used to them ever drafting in the first round whatsoever, because they usually trade it away. But the Patriots have Cam Newton, and Cam Newton kind of had this kind of same scrutiny as being the number 1 overall pick, and Cam Newton, you know, he I don't know, you say Hall of Famer, but he's had a great career, and I don't know how much of it's left. He didn't have a good year at all with the Patriots last year, don't get me wrong, but you get a guy to back him up in the same kind of skill set, if not faster and a more accurate arm. I mean, and then you have this offense maybe designed for them, and they made some moves. The Patriots made a lot of moves getting some playmakers this offseason. And so, I don't know if you can see this guy maybe do well.
We'll see. Hello, caller. What is your name and where you calling from?
Oh, you already know who this is.
What's good, Cory?
What's going on, guys? First of all, I want to apologize. I feel awful about the scheduling issues. I'm very appreciative to have you guys on, man. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you. It's all good. It's all good. Well, for starters, can I go to Penn State and like run a 5.3 40, or is like what's in the water with these Penn State pro days? Because like 2 guys ran a 4.3 and 1 guy ran a 4.4. Shaka Toney ran the slowest, but almost ran faster than the safety. So, like, what's up with Penn State pro days routinely?
We got some freaks, man. I mean, we got some freaks. We have a great strength and conditioning program, but really, they're trying to get these guys to the next level. And so they practice and compete in basically all the things you see in a pro day where you'd see on an NFL combine. They do those all the time. And so, they're comfortable with it, which I think is something people don't talk about enough when it comes to seeing a bunch of scouts and seeing a bunch of coaches and not being asked to run super fast or bench a lot. But on top of that, I mean, especially those 3 guys that you mentioned, and Micah Parsons and Jason Owe and Shaka Toney, those guys came in as freaks too, right? Like, no one was doubting Micah Parsons' athleticism when he first arrived at Penn State. Jason Owe, I believe Kirk Herbstreit had him on as like one of his freak athletes for like 3 years running on the Herbies. So like everyone knew Owe was going to run really well. But yeah, I mean, I will say I do think they clock a little bit faster than most people. But I don't think it's substantially where it's like, oh, that guy's just slow. It's Penn State. I really think that some of them guys are absolutely just freak athletes. And we've seen that translate to the NFL in the last couple of years. Chris Godwin's doing really well. Obviously, Saquon, when he's healthy, is doing really well. Mike Gesicki has finally turned things around. And those are kind of the guys that we saw flourish in the combine in years past.
And with that, Parsons, it's like, yeah, he should go top 10. Some people have him falling all the way to 17 to the Patriots, which I find hilarious. And ridiculous. Like, I don't see how Denver could pass him up. But, and then some people are also like, does he play outside linebacker? And then Owe, like, yeah, he's only played 3 years. 1 year of high school, 2 at Penn State. Shaka Toney's kind of small. You don't know if he's going to be a defensive end or edge rusher. Break down for me, where do you see these guys fitting?
Yeah, I will start with Micah Parsons, and he kind of reminds me of Isaiah Simmons last year a little bit. I think he runs a little bit better and pursues a little bit better than Simmons. But it's kind of like, this guy's a great athlete, but we don't really know where to put him. I think Micah Parsons, unlike Isaiah Simmons, is probably a better pass rusher. And Simmons is kind of getting credit to being more, maybe even a safety. I think you'd be an idiot to not put Micah Parsons within 4 or 5 yards of the ball at all times. I mean, he has great play recognition, and then even if he does misstep, he has the ability to pursue and chase down pretty much anybody, even at the next level. So you got to keep him closer to the ball. He's played all 3 linebacker positions, and he played defensive end in high school. So he can pretty much do anything you could ask of him But I think it'd be silly if you didn't at least a little bit utilize his pass rush. He doesn't need to be, rushing every single play, but it would be silly to not use that skill set. Jason Owe, I'm not as high on. He does have obviously the raw talent, and if he puts it all together, I think he can really be good. I've seen him. He's a fringe, I think, at the moment, fringe top first round, maybe second round. I think he's a little bit of a work in progress. I think raw ability should put him at least in a second round, but he hasn't played any of the linebacker positions. So asking him to drop back in coverage more or tackle in space, I don't really think that's a strong suit for him. But he does have some really crazy quick hands and obviously a good first step. So I think he can learn to be an every down defensive end. But he also, has to gain a lot of pounds to be able to do that. And then Shaka Toney, when he's on, he's on. I think he had like 3-4 sacks in a row against Indiana 2 years ago. When he's on, he's basically unblockable. I think the biggest thing he did this past year was improve as a run defender, and I personally like Toney more than Owe as far as if you're not worried about taking a risk. You want somebody is going to come in and give you snaps on every down and can be at least consistent in the run defense. I actually like Toney a little bit more than Owe.
And if you had to look at all this talent, and you see James Franklin, and you see that, okay, they're going to have a full season next season for Penn State and a lot of the Big Ten schools, where do you think that leaves his job security?
I think his job security is 100% fine still. I think I'm really surprised how many athletic programs, even a couple months ago, in February, even in January, were willing to roll the dice and pay these massive buyouts with so much uncertainty, even now moving forward as far as budget and financing. I think it's a little irresponsible, to be honest with you. And we have a guy like James Franklin who has done great things. He's led the horse to the water, and hell, the horse has even drank a couple times. You got to be excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's done it before. Number two, and I think this is probably the most important aspect of it, is he's willing to make changes, make big changes immediately, and go get people that he really wants. So, for example, Kirk Ciarrocca, offense coordinator, was there for a year, went out and got Mike Yurcich and basically kicked Kirk Ciarrocca to the curb. I still think Ciarrocca is a great offensive mind, but I don't think Ciarrocca and Franklin really ever got along as far as how they wanted the offense and the tempo to be ran. And I think Yurcich has been a guy that Franklin has wanted for a long time, since he was at Ohio State and before he went to Texas. This is a guy that they've wanted for a long time, and I'm not even really that surprised that they went out and got him. So that's something to be excited in. And then Yurcich himself is something to be excited because he's coming in with a lot of offensive knowledge, but also a lot of quarterback knowledge. He's dealt with a lot of great quarterbacks. And although Penn State's spring has been sort of closed, everything we've heard, and again, maybe it's just bullcrap, but everything we've heard to Sean Clifford has really improved under Mike Yurcich, and that's all you can really hope for. So, no, I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, if they take a step back again this year, I think then you can begin to question what's going on. But we kind of knew going into this year and even next year, the recruiting classes weren't that good the past 2 years. And so it's actually kind of expected to see things kind of dip out a little bit before maybe picking up again in another 3 years or so. So recruiting-wise, unless they're developing crazy good, unless they get some guy that's going to carry them a long way, they're really actually, as far as competing against Ohio State and maybe winning the Big Ten East, they're actually probably more behind the eight ball this year and even last year and maybe even the next year than they were in 2016 and 2017, which if for most people are like, well, why aren't you always getting better? But just the way the recruits kind of came out in Pennsylvania and the nearby areas, and a couple misses, frankly, to Ohio State, they're actually probably not going to be as good in the next 2 years or so.
And if you look at just how, with COVID kind of shutting down, at least high schools, at least, let's say, West Coast, teams are only playing like 5-game seasons. But you look at that junior college pool, because they've canceled, at least in California, they've canceled JUCO football twice, 2 years in a row. How do you see Penn State maybe recruiting that JUCO talent, that JUCO pool of guys who maybe fell off the radar or just, I don't know, they might find a steal? How do you think that plays into a part for maybe Penn State's recruiting class?
Yeah, they've tried multiple times now to recruit at the JUCO level. Lackawanna College has been a place they've gone to at least twice, maybe even 3 times. Both of their current safeties will be former Lackawanna College graduates. So they've dipped into that pool before, and maybe not just JUCO-wise, but now with the NCAA passing this rule to allow one free transfer, you can now go pluck basically anybody. Anyone that was worried as a sophomore or a junior of having to sit out a year, and that's the reason they don't want to transfer. Now those people are going to be willing to go transfer. So they have basically any ability, and really any school does, to go find a Band-Aid that can cover a weak point for a year or two. And this kind of leads into a whole different discussion, but as far as the parity and keeping things simple, it kind of reminds me more of college basketball now. And some of these guys that are really good at a Lehigh or really good at a Bucknell, wherever the case may be, then go and transfer to a bigger school to finish out their college career. We're going to see that a lot more, and I expect Penn State to do it because as we've seen it with coaches now, with Mike Yursich, and also with players, he's not afraid to go out and get people and make a difference. And early in his career, I think a lot of people were worried about him being too loyal to his staff and too loyal to his players. But we've seen now he's found a good balance between going to pluck a JUCO guy, going to pluck a grad transfer, or whatever the case may be, to improve the team while also keeping the chemistry of the entire program intact.
And kind of just to think about the big picture altogether, obviously Alabama pretty much dominated last year. A lot of guys from a lot of different schools sat out, but when we look at conferences and how things played, there probably wasn't going to do much to dethrone Alabama. Where does the Big Ten Conference sit in the landscape? Because it feels like Clemson is now down again after losing Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. But where do you feel like the hierarchy of conferences is after the SEC and Alabama? Because they just reload.
Yeah, to be frank with you, Alabama's in a kind of a league of its own at this point. They just are. I think you put Alabama by themselves, and then really, I don't think the SEC and the Big Ten are that much different. I think last year the SEC was better than the Big Ten, but I think Ohio State could obviously play with Alabama, especially if Alabama isn't as good as they always were last year. But also on top of that, Ohio State could probably be favored against most teams in the SEC. But really the question for the Big Ten moving forward is who is going to finally step up and be that second-best team. And really you can say the same thing for the SEC. But the issue for the Big Ten is they don't have an Alabama. No matter how good Ohio State is, they haven't got to that Alabama level yet. So if you're not going to have an Alabama, then you need to have at least 2 teams that are at least kind of getting national recognition. And for a little bit there, it was Penn State. And it's Wisconsin every once in a while. And obviously Michigan keeps trying to get over the hump, but they haven't been able to do so. But the Big Ten is in a good position because, A, they make a lot of money. B, the Pac-12 is an absolute mess. The Big 12, although was probably the most balanced it's been in a long time, is still Oklahoma than everybody else. And I think next year, besides Iowa State, I think Oklahoma is going to be a lot better than everyone but Iowa State. And then the ACC is the same way, right? Like you have Clemson than everybody else. So in a kind of a grand scheme of things, with Rutgers recruiting extremely well and playing better, and probably seeing them get the bowl eligibility next year, or at least be close, and then with Indiana playing a lot better, and a couple other teams in the Big Ten West competing, you're probably looking, although they're not overall generally better than the SEC, they're probably the most competitive from the top to the bottom, as far as, besides Ohio State, everyone can kind of play with each other. You don't really get that in the SEC. You kind of have a topper, a higher echelon, and then a lot of people at the very bottom. And a lot of that has to do with quarterback play. But I think the Big Ten has to be happy with where they're at. I think the one thing maybe holding them back is quarterback play. You get a couple better quarterbacks in there, I think they have the talent. I mean, you look at Purdue. I love Purdue as a good example of this. If Purdue had a really good quarterback with Bell and Rondale Moore back there, they would have been really good on offense and probably done a lot of damage. But really the Big Ten just seems one or two quarterbacks away from making big national strides. But overall, I think they're in a pretty good position moving forward. Now, I don't know what that means as far as the college football playoff and as far as getting new teams in or ever even beating Alabama. But for what you can do, I'd say the Big Ten's in a pretty good position. But they obviously need one or two more teams to get up into that next level.
Interesting. Last question, but you look at, next Madden obviously is going to be coming out. What are your ratings projections for Shaka Toney, Jason Oweh, and Michael Parsons?
Man, I don't even remember. I bought this last Madden. It was probably the worst decision. I think I played it twice. Don't even get me started on that. That's why I still play NCAA Football 14 so much. It's because it's so much better still.
It really is.
But anyway, I don't know what a great overall is. Probably 84. I assume for a rookie would be pretty impressive. 85-ish maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably say you could probably put Micah at an 81, 82. And by the way, I forgot to mention one more thing about the whole NFL draft. And dude, I saw at one point Justin Fields might fall to the Patriots, and I tweeted about it. I was angry about it. 'Cause, I'm a Penn State fan, but come on, like that's just the dumbest thing I've heard since I don't even know. That's just dumb as hell. Since the witch were throwing cement blocks down into the ocean to see if someone was a witch. Like it was just, just the amount of disrespect for Justin Fields has really kind of just been crazy as of late. I mean, that one video Chris Mortensen said, he was playing baseball in the spring, and that might mess up his throwing mechanics. Like Russell Wilson literally tried out for baseball, and no one said jack shit.
Thank you.
That stuff just drives me nuts. So if Micah Parsons falls that far, I think that'd be insane. So I think he would probably be around an 82 overall. Pretty good speed, obviously, and I think that makes up for some of the things that he obviously needs to prove on from a technique perspective. So probably an 82. Maybe an 84. I don't know. I mean, you're splitting hairs at that point. I think Toney probably a 77, and maybe I put Oweh at maybe a 75.
77?
Again, Oweh has maybe more speed. Maybe I don't know if they still do like the development traits on if they get better or not. I don't know if they got away with that, but I think Oweh maybe has more upside and could maybe progress a lot better in this hypothetical situation than Toney, and really maybe become a stud. But I think right now, I mean, we just look at the productivity they had at Penn State. Toney was way more productive than Oweh, and I'd give Toney the edge again in this hypothetical situation where I sit down and play an awful freaking game.
Yeah, I gotta add one more question because you brought up NCAA. So, with speed ratings, NCAA will give you your props usually. If you're fast, you're fast. Madden, you could run a 4.3 and they will still give you like a bullshit speed rating, but like jack up your acceleration and agility. Now, how fast do you think, if they had an NCAA game and it's supposed to be coming back, if they had an NCAA game, how fast do you think Oweh, Shaka Toney, and Micah Parsons all are?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two there's two answers to that question. So NCAA and the guys that do the rosters every year, they have to take this into account too, because if you make your quarterback a 99 overall in speed, it breaks the game, right? And so you have to take. I'm sure Madden takes that into account too, right? If you're a defensive end and you technically are faster than the quarterback, and you might not necessarily get to be as fast in the game. So from that perspective, I think the max maybe a defensive end like Owe would probably be 90, right? Maybe 91, but you could increase agility, you could increase pursuit, things like that to help them. But if we didn't give a shit about any of that, and we're just look, we want the best, fastest guys to be in there, I wouldn't be I think Owe could easily be maybe a 97 acceleration, a 95 speed. I mean, that dude can freaking fly. I mean, the fact that he and Micah Parsons competitively raced against each other multiple days and times in practice. I mean, these guys are always trying to compete against one another. They're some fast freaking cats. I would say Micah maybe as a linebacker gets into maybe 92, 93. Again, give him a pretty good acceleration. But yeah, they're pretty quick. I mean, they're exactly kind of what you need to beat in Ohio State, to beat in Alabama. That's the team speed you need. Except for having 2 or 3 of those guys, you need to have 7 of them. And it doesn't matter, if you're the biggest person there. It doesn't matter if you're super duper strong. If you don't get to the player, if he gets around the corner, it doesn't really matter if you don't put a hand on him. You can ask Devontae Smith about that. Speed really makes the biggest difference, and I think Penn State's finally getting there to a certain degree. But also, you're losing 3 guys that we've talked about tonight that they're going to really miss defensively.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that would be interesting because I feel like if you run a 4.37, they shouldn't just jack up your agility. They should just give you natural speed. Because
you would think. And like I said, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My thing is this: I don't know. First of all, I don't know what they fucking did to the part of my language, but I don't know what they fucking did to the Madden physics in that game. They almost try to make it seem too realistic, and at the same time, it came out like poop. I mean, it just came out like poop. I don't know any other way to say it. I've tried to play it, and after playing NCAA so much, I'm just like, dude, why would I sit here and try to fit this square inside of a circle? I mean, that's basically what it feels like, and it just doesn't feel real, right? I mean, it just doesn't feel like you're really controlling the player. It just feels like there's too much automatic flow to it, if that makes sense, and too much already built-in animation where it kind of dictates what's going to happen before you even get to decide it. And I think NCAA did it right because they had good physics where it didn't matter if the guy was already in a tackling animation. If you came and laid out a hit stick, you would still kind of push his body the other way. He wouldn't just keep going. And I feel like we don't see that anymore in Madden. And I could come on here and talk for 3 hours about how much I'm tired of Madden and all the BS, but y'all probably got better things to do.
I feel it, especially with those pro days. But, yeah, man, thank you for coming on. We know it's late. Appreciate you. Shout out all your socials where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at HardcoreCFB. That's really the best place. Obviously, I have a college football podcast. You can get that pretty much at every directory. I don't think I'm on every directory like you guys are, because I'm pretty sure I was on your website today. I was like, I think they create new directories and put themselves on there, and then they can just say they're number 1 on this directory, because some of them I've never even heard of before. Y'all just start making up directories. I think y'all just make a new icon and put it on there oh yeah, we'll call this one I don't know, Parrot Podcasts or something.
Podcastspace.com.
Yeah, I mean, shit, on PennIsland.com for all we know.
Hey, we might want to trademark that. Let's do that. We'll just drive up our own streams.
I mean, that might not be a bad idea. No, but we're pretty much in most of the generic places where most human beings watch. And we put an episode out, or actually, I don't know why I always say we, but I put an episode out every week, and just finished doing spring previews when talked about every single team in the FBS for at least a minute or so. So it doesn't even you guys out west. I even gave some love to you guys out west, and we talked some Mountain West football. We talked some Pac-12 football. at least mentioned everybody. So you can go check that out.
Appreciate that.
I promise I won't bore you to death. Yeah, I got to give some love to my boys out on the West Coast. And well, I've already told you this, but I'm going to put this on the air, so that means I have to do it. And that's I want you guys definitely to come on when we talk some Pac-12 football. I obviously didn't even do previews of the conferences last year because I really didn't think we were going to have football. And honestly, did the Pac-12 really have football anyway? I mean, I don't really know.
Damn.
I mean, if you don't have some championship game, like, what's the point of even doing the whole damn thing to begin with?
Because somehow UCLA would have made their way into it. It would have been terrible. I'd rather just watch pro days.
Do you like watching pro days?
A couple. Like, I don't want to watch Boise State's pro day. Just tell me, like, just send me the highlights. Stanford's pro day was mid.
Were you there in person for it?
Nah, I was watching, like I didn't want to watch USC's pro day. Underwhelming. Like, just give me the highlights from, like, the best players who are actually probably going to get drafted, but I don't want to see everybody pro day. But I would pay this.
Right. I mean, I don't give a shit about the third-string tight end. Like, that dude's going to be flipping burgers in a week. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, your 5'3", 40 with your 5-second three-cone drill isn't going to impress anybody.
Exactly. But I'll definitely watch Penn State's pro day. I'm like,
they're
going to have a nose tackle run a 4.6. This shit's going to be ridiculous. Watch. He's going to have no agility, but he runs a 4.6.
They're fast cats over there. I tell you what. One time, one afternoon, I got stuck. I don't know what I was doing. I was in a big rabbit hole in college football, and I just got there, and I sat down, and I was watching Florida's pro day, and I'm like, why am I watching, like, the second-string butt-licking quarterbacks to Kyle Trask throw passes right now? Like, why is this where I'm at in my life, where I'm sitting here at 2 o'clock on a Saturday watching the backup quarterback to whatever the hell it was, throwing the ball to someone else I don't even know? Like, there's got to be better content out there. And how many other college football podcasters are out here watching the backup quarterback to blah, 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 throw some passes, man? I tell you what, you get down the wrong rabbit hole, and all of a sudden, you keep telling yourself it's for content, but it's really because you're just a loser.
Damn. Or it's like you're waiting on delivery, so you just need something to hold you over till the food gets there. Let's just be honest. Like, if it was college, we weren't losers. We just didn't have shit to do at 2 a.m.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call them. I've been up in my room for about 4 or 5 hours now with streaming and now talking to you guys. And my girlfriend just came home probably an hour and a half ago, and she probably thinks I'm the biggest loser. So, I mean, I totally get where that's coming from.
You got to go down there and rectify that, man.
Nah, it's unrectifiable at this point. I mean, I'm going there, and my dogs are going to be laying on the bed and be like, dude, don't you dare come and disrupt us, and you better not turn the light on when you brush your teeth. I mean, I get the fucking death stares from the dogs when I come down there, like, oh, now you're going to come down the stairs.
Damn. We can feel it. Eric has a dog, too. So
I know the puppy drama. The first day at puppy daycare for my 10-month-old puppy.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's, tell you what, those, I think our puppy, he's 11 months now. He's a really damn good puppy, but, yeah, it can be, every day is a different challenge. They find something new. I mean, I only know where they come up with this shit half the time, but I guess I could say that about a lot of the offensive coordinators in college football, too.
Oh, man. Corey, it is a pleasure every time we talk, man.
I sure hope so. I always feel like a complete dickhead when I come on.
Nah, it's cool. Like, if P was here, he'd be laughing right along with us. So it's all good.
I thought I was going to congratulate you. I thought maybe you got rid of him or something.
Nah, it's like he went to go watch his brother's high school play, and they beat the shit out of a local high school, and they called it at halftime. It was 51-0. And I'm laughing because the high school I went to beat the shit out of both high schools. And I just told him, I was like, you should have put your brother in Lawndale. I tried to tell you. You might have time. He's a freshman. There may be hope. But, one day he'll listen to me.
By the time he's a sophomore, there might be one free transfer rules for high school players. So just hold on a second.
Yeah. We'll see. But all right, man.
Hey, but I know he's out there probably just creating another podcast directory for y'all to put another one on your website.
At Norms.
At Norms.
Oh, well, all right, guys. I will. I clearly have outstayed my welcome. But no, for real, I'm going to definitely get you guys. I mean, I can't believe we're already in the summer again, or almost to the summer.
Yeah.
So probably not until July because I'm a procrastinating son of a bitch. But definitely want to have you guys on there. And maybe we just decide to do it late at night in our PJs or something and just pretend like it's Pac-12 After Dark or something. Make some chocolate chip cookies and,
get some s'mores.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I like it.
We can make that work. I'll bring ice cream and edibles. But all right,
All right. Well, that works with me. Yeah. No, I should have went and just when I was out in California in October, I should just went and found you guys. The whole state. I would have driven the whole state just to find you guys.
There's time. There's definitely time. You never know. They're opening back up in June, so we might be on the road.
Hopefully, fully.
That's what's supposed to be June 15th. Mark your calendars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
June 15th, 2022.
Right.
But all right, Cory, you take it easy. Don't be too hard on yourself for the dogs.
Fantastic weekend. I appreciate you guys letting me come on here and just kind of flap my lips for a little bit. It's probably very therapeutic for me. At least that's what my counselor tells me.
Clearly, it sounds that way. It sounds that way. We do it too, and it's fun. And then we get food afterwards.
That's true. What y'all eating tonight?
I don't know. I'll probably go to some rallies. I don't know.
Maybe some nachos. Just saying.
Actually, you know what? I take that back. That
good.
sounds fire. Fucking nachos. Steak nachos.
I can go for some nachos right now.
You might just end the show early for that. But all right, man. Have a good night.
Hey, you guys have a fantastic night. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Bye.
That was a good chat.
Cory's fucking hilarious. I've never met a Cory who wasn't funny as shit. Like my roommate in college, Cory, he's funny. Cory Lestochi, hardcore football podcast, man. And he really can go hours and talk shit for Matt. Pete, see, you fucked up. See, you should have stayed on. You should have called back in. And because I know Pete, like I've seen Pete rage quit Madden and like almost break a controller. Just full on murderous rage quit. Rage quit. I almost said that Michigan edge rusher's name just now.
Wow. Rage quit.
No, I said quitty. I said rage quit. Pete, sometimes his lack of being able to say a word will rub off on you, and then you spend the whole rest of the week trying to fucking enunciate words again. But anyway, so on to the second to last part of the show. Oh shit! You know what? Actually, the second part, I forgot the second one. So Aaron Donald had a criminal assault case. Some dude apparently was out of town. This is for Take or Tangent. But yeah, apparently he has to do. Aaron Donald allegedly shattered his orbital bone. Fucked his face up.
You see the picture of this guy? This guy's huge that he beat up. I mean, Aaron Donald's just fucking freaking nature though. So I don't know. What are you thinking? Like
he's beating up grown men bigger than him. He's faster than receiver. Some receivers, QBs, safeties. He's fucking freakishly fast. He trains with knives, my guy.
Yeah,
with fucking knives.
I was reading some of this article, and it's like, yeah, it's an incident happening between 3 and 4 a.m. So this is at the club, just getting whatever. But like, how fucked up are you to fuck with Aaron Donald? Like,
kill a Terminator.
Yeah,
he could kill Superman.
The guy is Terminator, dude. Like it's like. You're a fucking idiot, dude. Just like, I mean,
whatever he did, it was your fault. Because Aaron Donald doesn't go around beating up people.
Beat the fuck out of you, though.
Yeah.
Fucking Suge Knight style.
Suge Knight in the barbershop.
Yeah.
He probably deserved that ass whooping, dude.
For real.
I don't know whatever he did, he deserved it, and I'm on Aaron Donald's side. It's like when Barry Allen told Bruce, because he brought up Steve Trevor and the bullshit Joss Whedon version of the Justice League. He's like, if she murders you, he's talking about Wonder Woman, if she murders you, we won't say anything and we'll take her side. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much it. Aaron Donald murders you, I'm not saying anything, and I'm taking his side. You came at him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it baffles me. Like, this guy is just whatever.
Like, okay, you can probably get lucky with the receiver or DB. You don't take on anybody who plays in the box. You don't fight defensive tackles, especially super fucking athletic, insanely fucking strong D tackles. Yeah. His warm up is 5 plates on bench.
I want to play the odds for the receiver to shoot himself in the leg before they can start a fight with me.
That is true, but even then, like even if he doesn't have a gun, like Plaxico Burress is 6'6", a fucking lefty, and just that's length, size, and speed. Like he'll fuck you up. Like as long as he's not shooting himself in the leg. But even still, that's 6'6", a whole lot of speed in hands you don't want to see. Like there's certain guys you just don't like. You could pick a fight with Julian Edelman and you might win. I mean he's quick as shit, but you might win there. You might have a chance with Edelman. And even then, you might find out it's not sweet just because he's a slot receiver and you probably don't have the stamina to hang with him. So he'll probably just wait till you get tired and just put you down quick.
Yeah, you have to throw some haymakers and connect one.
You're going to have to aim for his head and his temple and his jaw and hope you knock him out quickly. That's not an easy out, especially for a slot receiver.
I mean, he's in Boston, man. Boston's probably have like just fight clubs on every other corner.
And he's used to catching a lot of balls. So, like, I'm pretty sure whatever you're throwing, he's not afraid of it. And he has hands. He's used to catching jug machines. Yeah, actually, you don't want to fight slot receivers either. They'll fuck you up, too.
All right. Well, let's move on to touchdown or turnover.
I didn't want to hit the button again, but yeah.
Yeah, so NFL announces what it's calling its first U.S. sportsbook partnership with Caesars Entertainment, DraftKings, FanDuel. Those companies now are the NFL's official sports betting partners.
Vegas about to be lit. When shit opens up, we're doing the Vegas episode. Shit's gonna be lit.
Week 17. Let's go.
I'm gonna be somewhere in a fucking Vegas buffet. Fucking shit up.
Buffets.
You gotta ask them.
That's hopeful thinking. Buffets ever happening ever again.
Their buffets are gonna happen again.
It's gonna be hard sell.
Pre-plated like a motherfucker, but
that's not a buffet.
Yes, it is. It'll be pre-plated.
Pre-plated buffet is just menu
container.
Items.
Here, you got a side of rice. We'll put all the sides of rice you want. Oh, you gotta ask them to steam the crab because they don't just steam the crab. Yeah.
Who doesn't just steam the crab?
Some restaurants, you got to ask them.
To steam the crab?
Like, no, they'll cook that shit a special way for you. Like, some restaurants don't do that. You got to, it's a specialty in some places. Sometimes they'll just put the crab out. You're like, hey, could you steam this bitch for me? Like, you do a little something special? They're like, okay.
Sounds a little scary, but,
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's true, but this is definitely a touchdown for them. Vegas is going to be a go. They're going to get their money, especially with 17 games guaranteed now. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not much of a gambler like that because I don't like losing money on shit like that because I'll just be mad.
Well, your fan team is Las Vegas Raiders. Like, you're going to be doing some gambling when you go to some games.
Team?
Are they? Oh, my God. Bandwagon here. Bandwagon.
Nah, it's more like I'm a mercenary.
Yeah, to be honest, the Bears and the Raiders are going to be playing each other.
Fan, though.
I can't. Fuck you. I don't have a choice at this point. Dick.
I'm like,
one of our best quarterbacks ever in our franchise history is just like, yeah, fuck the quarterbacks for that team today in the news and stuff. So, did you hear about this?
Jim McMahon?
Jim McMahon just saying was where quarterbacks die. I mean, it's true.
And receivers.
Receivers do decent.
They struggle to make a. They struggle.
The thing is,
they get years taken off their careers. Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, the worst thing is I think about it is like Jay Cutler is like our best quarterback we ever had, and that's
Sid
really.
Luckman. Can you go to Sid Luckman?
You mean modern day history? I mean, we had Rex Grossman play in the Super Bowl.
I don't know if that's like a win or if that's like when you get to Barstow and somebody has that one fact, that one nice thing to say about Barstow.
So I want to find the odds on if for Vegas betting that Fields drops all the way down to 20 for the Bears to draft him.
Oh,
what are the odds on that?
They'll probably make him a fucking receiver. They'll turn him into.
Not gonna.
They'll try to make him Cordell Stewart. We saw how that happened.
Yeah. No.
I hope not. I'm just gonna say I hope not to all that.
Well, I think all this betting is. I mean, it was just bound to happen. So if it's going to happen, like, make some money off of it. And this is it's huge. It's just yeah. I mean, I think a former boss of mine actually has ownership in some of these betting online things. But hey, you can make some money. You can make some money. Just don't lose too much money, guys. Just be careful out there. Gambling's a bitch.
That is true, especially in technically it's still a pandemic. I don't know anymore.
Maybe.
All right, the second one and the last one.
I only see a second one, but
yeah.
Raiders cutting Arden Key
and Mo Hurst.
And Mo Hurst.
And others.
And others.
I don't know what the fuck the Raiders are doing. They're probably going to end up taking a guard at 17 and pissing a bunch of people off. Or another failed safety. Oh, God.
A really fast guy.
Yeah. If they take J.C. Horn, if he's still there out of South Carolina, I'm okay with that. Caleb Fairley. That's a risk out of Virginia Tech. But if they, they're going to do some dumb shit. It's the Raiders. It's John Gruden. I don't trust his player evaluations at all. I don't. Unless
he's making a reality TV show of it, the worst shit.
I'm going to have to drink during the draft, aren't I?
Yes. What is it? Draft is Thursday? Next Thursday? Week from today?
Damn near.
First round, at least? 27th, right?
Week and a half?
Week and a half?
I thought it was 17 days from now, starting Monday.
I thought first round was on Thursday night.
Because it's what? Today's
Thursday, the
15th?
15th. Today is the 15th.
29th? I think it's the 29th.
Oh, so 2 weeks
I gotta
away.
double check.
God damn it. I'm ready for this draft to happen.
It's close. That's once the draft happens, I know half the year's over.
I want to see all these quarterbacks we don't get to get.
That's disturbing. That's like going to a strip club knowing you only have $100. That's like going to a strip club knowing you only
I just
have
bought
50.
this CD today. Can I use the hat? And they use it as payment.
I really just want food, but if I'm going to get food, I'm not going to go to fucking get the strip club food. Then I can't get a lap dance. Then
how good are these wings that we're talking about?
They might have burgers, too.
Burgers.
They might have burgers and fries.
I could do burger almost anywhere, I'll be honest.
It's hard to fuck up a burger.
Yeah, but you can really do it easily, too.
I've seen it done places, and I don't ever go to those places ever again.
And Pete just wants to let everybody know that McDonald's has shakes. He just found out, it sounds like, because this is with a question mark.
The ice cream machine works?
You never had a McFlurry? Have you had a McFlurry?
I've had thousands of McFlurries.
Yeah, it's just did that consider a shake? I mean, that was McFlurries before shakes.
It's just ice cream with fucking M&Ms in it. Or candy in it.
I go for Snickers.
I go Snickers when they have Snickers.
Yeah.
But I usually go M&Ms.
But Snickers is the bomb. Anyway.
And I'm pretty sure McDonald's is crack. Because, they know the McFlurry's good, and they purposely fuck you and say the ice cream machine's broken. But whatever. On to the rants. You want to go first?
Man, I don't really have much going on. I mean, I am now vaccinated, so, if I become a zombie, I'm sorry. I apologize right now, but, it's kind of going crazy. I got to check out the stadium for the first time today to get my wife her first vaccination shot, so it'd be really cool that the next time we go over there, there's actually games, because I really want to see some entertainment in the stadium. I really want to be out in the crowd. I'd like to have a way overpriced beer and then, scream along with other people without being scared of okay, this guy's within 5 feet away from me and not breathing in a mask. So, the goal is apparently June 15th to be 100% open. So hopefully just that happens, and I'm ready to say quarantine's past and get the fuck out of these masks. That's really all I got.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm real fucking tired of wearing a mask because I'm going to tell a couple people, fuck you to your face. And I want to be snarky to a couple people at my job with a mask off. But that's a whole other story.
You're just over here I want you to read my lips, but you can't. So I'm going to say whatever I really feel about you.
Yeah, I want you to look me in the face so you can get the whole of what I'm about to say. Yeah. But anyway, I really got shit to say either. It's been a long week, arduous week. I'm just glad I made it to Thursday. Again, make sure you guys are getting your hearts checked your blood work done, chiropractor, shit like that, because you find out, it's just good to find out, like, okay, nothing's wrong with me on this end. I mean, I still should probably, like, invest in getting a therapist. I kind of want to wait till shit opens back up. But yeah, this has been like the worst possible time if you needed a fucking primary care physician, a different one. Because, man, everything has to go through them to get a referral for shit. And I just really think that's stupid and annoying. If I go to an eye doctor, the eye doctor should just give me a referral to an optometrist. I shouldn't have to fucking talk to my primary care physician who isn't a fucking eye doctor. Like, medical field's a scam and a hustle. Shout out to my mom and sister. Shout out to Izzy. Shout out to Pete, who I don't know how the fuck he went from Norm's to McDonald's. That's a nasty ass night. You better go home before you catch a felony, sir. But all right, y'all have a good one. Also, shout out to Sports Talk with Mark and DP. I'm gonna be on the show tomorrow, so tune in 7:30 to like 8:45. Salute to them. I'll be here tomorrow. Good news, sports. And we are the fuck out of here.
Peace.
Psych, I'm not going to play the whole song.